I remember waking up and going for a walk and putting on my clothes and going down the street, and everything looked different. Everything looked brighter. I don't know, I just saw things differently. It just looked different. And I remember walking into the town, and it was quite busy, and I was walking beside this woman, and I could hear her having these crazy conversations with herself. And I was like, what? And then I remember seeing this little bird, and it had hopped over to me asking for a chip, because I was sat on this bench. Everything looked amazing. It just so different. That was part of my spiritual awakening. It got a lot bigger than that. I connected with a man through Instagram, and he was a psychologist, a life coach. He really helped me sort out my stuff. And I remember him asking me, look, you need to go out. So let's make a plan. You're gonna go out, because I was just stuck in the house. I couldn't go anywhere. I was so depressed. Let's get you out. So I want you to walk to Tesco's, and I want you to look for all the signs. Everything's gonna look different for you, my dear. Just go, look for the signs, and I want you to write a story about yourself in 2 pages, about your life in 2 pages. Wow, okay. So I went along the next day, and I couldn't, my excuse was I couldn't afford it. But we can afford it, really, can't we? We just make excuses. So anyway, I'm walking there, and I'm seeing signs on cars, and I'm seeing NJ and an arrow, or that's my initials. And I'm like, wow. And then I'm seeing another sign, I can't remember what it was now, but there was another sign. I arrived, went upstairs, sat in the canteen bit upstairs, and it's overlooking everything. And as I sat there writing my thing, I looked up, and this man kept saying to me, my dear, this is your time to shine. It's your time to shine. So I kept thinking, okay, you know, it's my time to shine, la la la. I'm sitting there, I'm writing, and I look up, or I look down, and I see the signs, which is the cleaning products, and it says, your time to shine. I was like, wow. And then I saw a mother, it was near Mother's Day, and I saw Mother's Day things there as well. And I was having issues trying to get my children back in my life, because there'd been this big boom. And I was focusing on that. So it really blew me away. Anyway, that's a little bit about my journey. So why spiritual awakenings break your relationships? Well, when you have a spiritual awakening, you begin to vibrate at a different level. So your frequency will go up. And a lot of people, when they have a spiritual awakening, tend to realise they shouldn't be eating animals, and they kind of turn vegan, and they decide to have a cleaner life and go a lot more natural. And this just naturally happens as you wake up, as your spiritual awakening. You just see things completely different. I'd like to hear your comments if this has happened to you. Why spiritual awakening happens? Now, this doesn't happen always in this lifetime. You may have to come back into another lifetime to relive everything you've lived until you get it, until you wake up. Not everybody will have that shift. But because of the big shift that's happened in 2020 to now, 2021, this shift in consciousness is worldwide. Lots of people are questioning things. Lots of people, the veil of illusion is lifting, and they're starting to see the truth and for really what it is. Is spiritual awakening painful? Yes, it can be very painful. You go through layers and layers of your own patterns, your own family, your own friendships. You go through many, many layers, and you can even grieve from your past life. This can also happen. Can spiritual awakenings cause anxiety? Yes, it can. I think for me, on my journey, having a spiritual awakening was the most painful, but most amazing. Spiritual awakening cause depression? Yes, it can. is exactly the same thing. The anxiety of like, oh my God, everything's like this, and oh my God, I want to tell the world, and I'm awake, and I'm here, and I'm awake for a reason, and you're pushed to get out there and give away your power by telling everybody what it is. You know, I don't know, it's really hard to explain how I feel about that. Does spiritual awakening make you tired? Yes, you do. You feel absolutely exhausted. You will need time to rest, time to sit with yourself, learn to meditate, learn to sit in silence. Well, you can have music on, but you need meditated music, can't have beat to it. So since my spiritual awakening, I've been using cards, angel cards, trying to help me, give me double numbers all the time. I used to wake up at 3:30 every morning. While I was going through my spiritual awakening, I was questioning everything. I was researching everything. I think I went down every single rabbit hole. I don't know many people that went as far as I did. And the further I went, the more psychotic I became, because I was at the stage of saying, the sky is not the sky, the moon is not the moon, and the clouds are not the clouds. I questioned every single thing. There's many stages to a spiritual awakening. They say 7 stages, but some people say there's 9 stages. There's many levels to your awakening. And I do know that you're going to feel very, very weird. You're going to feel very odd to the world. You're going to see the world as a completely different place than you've ever seen it before. The veil of illusion's lifted. You are seeing things for what it really is. Congratulations, you've woken up. You've had a spiritual awakening, or even a Kundalini awakening, right the way through your whole body. It goes up through your spine. So what is a spiritual awakening? It is when your soul is screaming out. You go for the soul, which is what I've been explaining, depression, anxiety, that oh my God, this is so like not me. What is this world? Who am I? Where am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? There must be more to this life than this. And I questioned that, and that I think was the beginning of my massive shift, when I actually thought, there must be more to life than this. There must be more to life than this. There must be. And I think if you ever ask that question, like out of real desperation, you will get your answer. 100%. 100%. I will leave the link to my Instagram right at the end of this video, so stay tuned. So you're not crazy, you're having a spiritual awakening. Everyone thinks you're mad. Everyone calls me nuts, but you get to the point where you really don't care. And actually, when people come to you and they tell you something that's a defect about yourself, thank you. I really needed to know that, because now I can work on that. And don't be afraid of that. You know, we live in fear. This whole life is this whole, see, he's talking. This whole life gives us, it fills us with fear for everything, even crossing the road. Mind the road, fear. You know, oh, mind the step, fear. Everything's fear. No, it can be fear. Some people can't stand that word. I love that word these days. No. So as you transform from one being to this really great person that's evolving and growing and expanding, and people will be looking at you and going, you've changed. What's happened? You look great. And I love this about myself, I do, because now I am free of worrying about what everybody else thinks about me. I am me today. I'm my higher self. I worked on being my higher self for a long time, and I try to speak from my higher self now. I know I have notes and that, but this is just keeps me on track, make sure that I'm saying what I need to say. I still have triggers. Yeah, I still have triggers, and yeah, it's awful sometimes. Someone will trigger me if they bombard me with things. But I'm getting better around people. I used to find it really hard to be around people, especially a lot of people that sleep in, when I see people with masks on, and I just find it really, you know, don't you actually look at it, because I do. I can't wear one of them masks unless I really have to. I won't wear one. And I have asthma, and it's not good for me, and my chest, it's not good for me. And I won't use alcohol gel because even when I worked in a hospital, I worked in there for 15 years, and you know, we had alcoholics drinking that stuff, you know, it was 100% alcohol. And you're putting that into your system, right into your system, onto the little thin pads of your fingers, and they are very sensitive, and you're rubbing it in every so many hours or every half an hour. It's become a ritual. Try to wash your hands if you really are worried about catching things. Or I know when I worked in the hospital, agree with it, or wearing masks, just don't agree with it. But that's my preference. I really don't. I feel really claustrophobic in a mask, for one. I really do. But I try to go along with what everybody was wanting to a degree, but I don't go into like Tesco's and wear a mask or anything like that. And when I see people driving along with masks, what are you doing? What are you doing? People are so full of fear, and I really feel for you. If you are full of fear, thinking that you're going to die, stop thinking that way. Be positive, all right? As you become more self-aware within your spiritual awakening, and you've transformed into this great person, and you're probably changing a lot of things, and your friendships will change, your relationships will change. There is nothing you can do about it. That is just part of it. As you grow, you'll find conversation boring. You know, like, hey, how are you? How's your day? Weather's nice, isn't it? That will become so boring. This was on TV last night. That becomes so boring. You realise that you've been lied to, basically, and manipulated to believe that this is the way life should be. And without stepping aside and saying, you know what, I want to do things differently, and doing something about it and doing it your way. You know, I just do things my own way now. It is an absolute roller coaster of emotions that you'll go through, depending on what your life's been like. I've had kind of a bit of a weird life, really, and I was victim to it. I played victim to it. Feeling when you're playing, when you feel that you become a victim in your own life, and you actually become obsessed with it, addicted to it. Yeah, that's another thing. An act of self-love, self-forgiveness. Wounded child. You know, we are the wounded child, and you need to look after your wounded child. You need to say, you know, go in your head, close your eyes, just literally say, my inner child, and contact them, and are you okay? And visualise yourself giving yourself a cuddle as a child. Give yourself a cuddle, and forgive yourself for anything that whatever you are holding on to will just drag you down. The other person doesn't feel it, so you have to let go of all that. And once you let go and you love yourself, like, not in an egotistical way, because the ego has to die. We all have a massive ego, and you have to chip away at that and say, no ego, you're not gonna take this from me. So say this: I am complete now. I am complete. I am complete now. Happily, joyfully happy. Happily, joyfully happy. I love my life. I love my life. I love my life. I love my life. Liked this video if you found it interesting and you'd like to know more. Make sure you join my team and subscribe to my channel. And make sure you give me a like, because liking my videos helps other people see my video. So I appreciate every single like, I really do. I'm literally like, oh look, I've got a like! So I really appreciate it, okay? Thanks for listening. Try my meditation videos if you haven't, because I think they're really good. I need to do another one. I'll bring another one out soon, alright? Love, light, and peace to you. Thanks for connecting with me.
Raise the vibration, raise the vibration.
You're not crazy. You're not crazy.